guys. And the question will be, can Samsung bounce back, or will Longzhu take a really much-needed win? Because you have to say, Longzhu wins this could be a massive turning point in their season.
They already had the first blip, but this would certainly be the true data point, taking down a top team like Samsung, and it also would start to be mini panic stations for Samsung after such an impressive start. Losing 2 on the trot, one of them understandable, the other one a big surprise. Who's to say how their season would rebound after a loss to Longzhu?
Well, same bans for Longzhu, Nidalee, Azir, and Varus that we saw in game number 1. Rise has now been removed.
Rek'Sai too.
And the Rek'Sai. So no first pick Rek'Sai here to give over to Chaser.
Rek'Sai has really shot up. It's been by far the highest win rate jungler. It was at 67% before tonight's games, and I believe has only gotten better from there.
Wow, taking out the TF even though they're on red side. So Vladimir, which was banned by Samsung in game number 1.
And Swain still available.
I don't think Longzhu's going to pick Swain Vladimir. Stop it. You stop that, Papa Smith. You stop that. It's not going to happen. So Karma, though, up. And are they going to take some sort of jungler here? Now,
Karma Sivir would be no movement speed for the Vladimir.
Would be nice. They could take away the Gragas. Usually Ambition has defaulted to a Graves when possible, just because he does output so much damage in teamfights due to his skill in terms of actual teamfight positioning and his experience from his mid lane days.
I think you have to take the Sivir to give Vladimir another option to actually get into those teamfights, much like Swain. Sustained damage mages can be kited out even if they're able to take Ghost Flash in the mid lane. So Fury obviously just had a carry performance on the Sivir. Gives you some troubles in the laning phase. Against Karma also will struggle, but I think you need it for team comp. So let's see if Longzhu actually reach for it in this round of the draft.
Taking a look at that Elise, but usually those hovers, not really too important because if they are going to take a jungler, they won't bother swapping him around, just have Chaser select that jungler.
They could also lock up the Swain in this rotation.
Not going to happen, Papa Smithy, I'm sorry.
The dream.
It's not the dream.
The Tilt Monty dream.
There you go, there you go. Tilt Monty
That's
dream.
what I'm most interested in.
Well, Sivir Hecarim, that would be a hell of an engage.
Oh! No, Jason. You wouldn't. You wouldn't.
Oh, okay. I got really worried
Those
there.
some pivots right there. I was like, really? It's the Wukong time?
That's when your coach gets mad at you, because if you accidentally lock in one of those, you look like a goddamn fool.
Is that like when you end up with a Trundle and your name's Cloud Templar?
Yeah, that is what happens, actually.
The hard random,
And
never
then,
forget.
And then everybody just hovers over it till the end of time. He's still dealing with that like 4 years later, Papa Smithy.
And then Riot releases a new splash, and now Dongjun's in on the fun. Tarek all the time.
Okay, so Samsung now. We'll have to see if they are going to reveal where this Karma pick is going. You'd have to think Crown, given the fact that his DPS has been, or DPM I should say, has been so high.
You don't really want to show it now, though, do you? I guess maybe leaving your counter pick for top lane. Does Cuvée have a carry? That's kind of the question we're left with, because if Cuvée has a carry, sure, you can leave it. And the Vladimir answer from Faker was the Anivia, and that has always been the ability to wall off the Vladimir and either take him down quickly or separate him from the team fight is strong. And it will be Anivia, but this does mean Anivia and Ashe, so both those carries, very immobile.
Yes, but also have ice synergy. I don't think you considered that.
That's true. The Frosty champions.
That's right. Okay, so where is Longzhu
I think you take Jin here.
going to go
Oh,
after
sorry,
this?
they've already got a Sivir.
They have the
Never mind.
Sivir. We also don't know whether that Vladimir still theoretically could go top lane, but the fact that Expression hasn't switched over his Summoner spell yet is a bit indicative of a lack of a top lane Vladimir.
You saw the hover on Lissandra. We haven't seen a lot of Lissandra, but anyone that can get onto the back line is going to be pretty happy if you can take down either the Anivia or Ashe. We saw the Aurelia lock. The Aurelia play was good from Expression, but he goes such a tanky build that he actually had pretty low threat by the time the late game rolled on. Now, if you fight early with Trinity Force tanky, for sure you can take down an Ashe, but if you wait long enough, you do kind of get outscaled by even just base stats, because you just don't die in one rotation of spells, but it will stick with what worked. They'll stick with the Aurelia, and it confirms the mid lane Vladimir.
So that Anivia will be quite happy into that Vladimir, and the Trundle would be, I think, a bit of a mistake right here because it does give a little bit of carte blanche to this Aurelia to build damage and actually match up with the Trundle in the early game.
We did see Trundle win that laning matchup a couple of days ago, but that may have just been Duke being too damn good for Beyond.
I think that's likely.
Well, I mean, it's a fact, but also
Yes.
we need more data points for the matchup, and we're going to get them. So if we do see 1v1, it'll be interesting to track because just the Grasp of the Undying Trundle was able to take out and effectively solo kill the Aurelia. Somehow I doubt that's going to happen again this game, but we did see a solo kill from Expression last game, if you remember.
Yeah.
Very early into what was that long, 60-minute plus epic.
Look, I'm just happy we're not seeing the Echo anymore, Papa Smithy. That Echo pick, I've seen it now from Cube and Trace. I am not convinced that after the nerfs, this top lane Echo is any good. But Longzhu here, trying to bolster up the Vladimir engage with a Sivir ultimate.
I mean, Vladimir and Aurelia are both going to be running in with the Sivir ult. It's pretty elementary stuff.
Yeah, but having to deal with wall, having to deal with volley, having to deal with pillar, having to deal with karma speed, I really don't like Longzhu's odds of being able to engage a 5v5 team fight.
Well, set up a winning split lane push, maybe take some dragons, otherwise could see another long epic, or maybe it'll be Samsung steadying with a victory.
I'm curious about this Trundle Aurelia matchup too, and if we can see Longzhu perhaps winning the 4-1 split push, does seem a bit unlikely. So we are going to head into game number 2 of this series right now. Of course, Longzhu, after an hour-plus long game, did eventually snatch that victory, and they are looking to close out 2-0. So let's get on to the Rift. Mountain Drake will be the first one here on Summoner's Rift in Game 2 of Longzhu versus Cuvée, and it's match 27, which means that we are more than halfway through our first round robin, which consists of 45 matches.
That was quick, but does mean there's going to be plenty more top-level League of Legends in this season as we start to cement the teams that will be representing Korea at the World Championships in September and October. Looking at the Keystones, Fury is going to be going for the Warlord's Bloodlust, and Coco has been sticking with the now standard Strength of the Ages for Vladimir.
Well, when HP becomes AP, why not, Papa Smith?
Well, I mean, more AP now with the changes. Conversion rates are good. The exchange rates have changed, so now health is the investment target for Coco.
I didn't know there was an Earth Nami skin.
There is. It's actually quite old now. Been out of the loop, Monte Cristo.
Out of the skin loop? Well, Nami's been out of the competitive scene loop.
Fair. Deep Sea Nami, though, is coming soon, so we will need to go back and see if it's quite as annoying as River Spirit. They'll have a field day with that.
I don't think he will. I think he won't like it.
Well, he has a field day not liking things sometimes. You know him well. We both do.
I thought I was the one who had a field day not liking things.
It's true. You don't like many things, man.
But I do like Aurelia versus Trundle matchups, and seeing how they unfold before our eyes.
Well, so far,
level 1, it's not going to be very exciting.
No. Actually, there might actually be a pushing advantage for Cuvée in the matchup because he has an auto attack cancel at level 1. So theoretically can do more damage since neither laner has AoE.
Poking. Coming down the bottom side.
Coco is going to push.
For now, but pre-6.
Yep.
Pre-6. Brown with the Glacial Storm will be able to deal with that. Worth noting that Anivia was nerfed a little bit on this patch.
It was all about the mana cost of the ultimate going up. The big change in the rework was the fact that now the AoE from the ultimate does start very small, so when it comes to the pretty standard launching the E, then casting the R, you have to be very accurate. It's not as forgiving as it was before. It used to have a much larger radius at instant cast. To reward skill more, which, you know, kind of been a trend from Riot when it comes to reworks. And can't help but enjoy it, because then when you see the players we pulled off, you can know that there's a significant outplay unfolding.
Yeah, I do like the general direction that Riot has gone with new champions, having these very high skill caps. And as well as, like you say, the reworks, changing out a lot of the very, very, very boring champions like Shen. Ruler actually eating a bubble right there and coming out worse in the trade.
Do you think they could apply Occam's Razor to the lore and fix that too? They seem to have fixed the mechanics.
There's some things that are so broken you can't fix them, Papa Smithy. Sorry.
Oh well. It's worth a try.
These things include the client, a replay system, and the lore.
How do you feel about sandboxes?
Okay, well, Chaser comes in for the gank. We see Coco trying to come up here as well. Cubase going to get tagged by the Cocoon. Doesn't have to use his flash, though. And they do see Coco on a ward. He was trying to get that little bit of a speed boost.
Ironically, they actually wanted Expression to open up because he was down 100 health, so it would have been a stun on the E into the Cocoon. But because Cuvée was smart, had that spider sense, moved back early, it had to be Elise, took a chunk of damage, and then Expression realized even if he dashed in, wouldn't be anything really ventured. So, anything gained from the venture, so just backs away.
Well, we almost had a moment of excitement, Papa Smithy.
Nope, no excitement allowed.
Perhaps the excitement is that Expression is now wrecking Cuvée in terms of farm. Cuvée had the TP.
Well, I mean, he hasn't backed yet, so the wrecking is kind of minute.
Well, we will see a potential wrecking. That's what I'm hoping for. Ruler
getting wrecked.
Yeah, Ruler definitely getting wrecked right there. Pops the shield.
Well, it's tanking up a few minions and also the Karma, so the damage trade does, while not equalized, go a bit better.
Coon flies wide. Bishop gets eyes onto Chaser, though.
Both at level 5, so just one extra creep score over to Ambition.
Expression with TP, but considering Cuvée already used his. Wants to keep on that pressure right now. Continue his wrecking.
You can see a little bit about the matchup in terms of the itemization. It's actually a Ninja Tabi rush from Expression.
Yeah, it does. Just chunk out the likes of Cuvée, sending him back underneath his turrets, and Wraith is going to be the first to die as Fury flashes for first blood.
Why was Wraith there?
To die to Fury and Pure.
But Ash had already recalled. It's not like Wraith got to lane early to try to hold the waves. He hasn't bought anything, so he hasn't shopped. That's actually really interesting. You can understand supports like Wraith who've been playing a lot of those melee supports trying to be pretty aggressive at trying to freeze the minions, but on Karma, just like Bard, it's not something you can do, so we'll have to see a replay to get a little bit more information, but a donation over means very early BF Sword boots and also the dagger for Fury.
I think he just got owned by a bubble and then ignited.
That would have happened. It's just, why was he in range for a bubble?
That is the question that will haunt his nightmares, no doubt. Ambition trying to punish this, but Ambition caught alone. Trundle Pillar will divide Expression away from Ambition for the moment. Chaser taking that damage. Flash, though, from Expression. Blade Surge, and then the ultimate to finish the kill.
Oh! So Pure made the roam. Another bubble was relevant. Cuvé's taking damage too.
Yeah, is Expression going to go? No. Turns right around. Subjugate had been used, so could have been dangerous to continue following underneath that turret, but he got the win anyway.
It was actually really smart from Longzhu. You would have thought they'd back away, but remember what Expression invested in boots too, so he would always know. Aurelia's fairly high base movement speed and boots too. He would always catch onto Ambition, who had no boots. Flash, Blade Surge was enough to take down the kill, and we talked about some of the struggles in team fights. When you start loading gold onto carries, those struggles go out the window.
Yeah, that's... Longzhu needs to keep this up, though. Like, they have to keep the advantages rolling because Samsung, their zone control, their kiting is far too good. And we know they know how to play to these win conditions in the late game. You do not want to go into a late game 5v5 against Samsung's comp if you are Longzhu with your composition. It's just not going to do anything for you.
I mean, there's chances
so you have to win now.
Sure. There's chances you can win a late game, but it requires more on Samsung not using their resources effectively because on paper they have the answer to what Longzhu are trying to do.
Yeah, and Samsung is the team that I would not bet against to make those mistakes. I mean, I've seen CJ make the mistakes against the Vladimirs in the late game. Samsung on a very different level, and they've shown that they can play nearly perfectly in those situations.
Coco really now respecting the matchup with those extra data points supplied by Faker. He's going to go potentially straight for the Spirit Visage. Of course, could still pivot into Hextech Revolver and thus the Proto Belt if he wants to, but for now, Spirit Visage very much on the menu. And, I mean, the Drakes are the other things to talk about because the Drake RNG is really working for Longzhu. A couple of Infernal Drakes. I mean, Coco double scales off ability power, so can really get massive. So even if it's just the Hemo Plague and one rotation of spells, then just being cordoned off by Crown, that might be enough to turn the tide of a fight.
Kiwi trying to trap up Expression here, but
Expression's playing these really smartly.
He's always been a good Aurelia player. This is something that he will feel very comfortable with, harkening back to the early days of his career.
But isn't it fun that, you know, we had the three, Smeb, Duke, Someday. Those were clearly going to love 6-11, and we haven't even seen Smeb on the Triforce carries, but we forget someone like Expression, who once was a feared top laner, who loved his Jax and Aurelia, and now the meta switches to him as well, just as Longzhu finally seemed to get an identity as a team.
Couldn't have come at a better time. The double bonus, well, that'll be a little bit of a steal there for Crown.
Well, those veteran moves going for Ninja Tabi first. We have not seen Boots 2 in a long time. Ninja Tabi target buffed on this patch up to 12%. Reduced auto attacks. We saw the solo kill by Duke onto Beyond's Aurelia, but Ninja Tabi both respects and gave the chase potential to get the kill onto Graves, so the double duty from those boots has really helped out, especially.
Yeah. Playing back underneath his turret now, making sure he sweeps up the remaining CS. He's still looking for that completed first item as he zeroes in onto the Phage.
I don't think the chilling actually applied there, because Coco took no damage.
You might be right. Ambition and Chaser have had a little bit of a back and forth at each other's Raptors over the past few minutes.
They've got to kill in top, they've got to kill in bot. I think the Drakes really need to start rolling, because even with their Drakes last game, they found it very difficult to take out the game. I guess the game did end during the last Infernal Drakes buff, so when they finally got that, Ruler's caught.
Oh, Ruler is caught. There's the knockup, does fly a little bit wide. Arrow finds its target in Fury, and Wraith bounces back with a Mantra Q. Coco gets chunked out there. Fury's going to go for this one, though. Not sure how wise that was. Bubble lands on Wraith. Ruler has to use both summoners, so it was a 2-for-3 trade of summoners as this bottom lane has just been a bloodbath in the first 10 minutes.
It's popping off 2v2. You have to think maybe the bubble was not off cooldown because it was only thrown after everything had been blown by Ruler.
Ambition, though, gets caught. Coco uses the Ghost. There's the Hemo Plague. They want to come in with this, but it is a 2v3, and they are going to have to just back away. Nothing they're going to get. Pure in a bit of a danger zone now against Crown. Crown on the pursuit, had used his Ghost.
Backs away, okay. Thought he might be too overextended for the remainder of Longzhu to come and get the 1-for-1, because Pure would have died to a single rotation of spells, not a movement of people.
He would have died to a single rotation of people coming down out of the jungle, too.
That's true. Seems a bit more formidable, rotation of people.
Well, actually, that's not true. So, Crown would have died to a rotation of people. That's what he was afraid of. And Pure was afraid of dying to a rotation of spells.
There you go.
That's how it is.
Fine line between people and spells, it turns out.
All rotations are deadly, though.
If anyone would know, that is you.
Chaser, this is Raptor buff pop, but not going to be too much of the gains from that. Ward relatively low on the timer.
Will Vlad finish the Spirit Visage? Because there could still be the pivot to Proto Belt, and yes, it will be Spirit Visage Rush. So I'm feeling that Coco has found a way to navigate this laning phase, and it never feels good to go full defensive itemization. We see a lot of people go Kindle Gem, Negatron Cloak into Proto Belt, but he was able to walk up and get EQ trades that he would have lost if he didn't have the magic resist. So this will probably be the new standard if we are to see more of the Vladimir. And given that he doesn't have any changes on this or future patches, Vlad's going to be pretty damn popular.
Yeah, Stinger second now from Expression. Not going for the Berserker's Greaves this game, so instead of going Sheen, goes for that attack speed, the 35% that he would have gotten from the Berserker's Greaves, instead from the Stinger. So still just trying to extend trades with the W.
Mission needs to be careful. Expression's coming in, so's Coco.
Yeah, Coco just blasts in there, and there it is.
Oh.
Chaser switches over to human form to get that range and takes him out at the last second. Coco really committing to that with the flash, but they get the necessary damage down and they punish. Ambitions move forward into their jungle.
Ambition, of course, going to be slowly trying to farm his way to late game teamfight relevance. Now 0-2-0, has some more camps than Chaser.
Cube does not want to be here. Cocoon immediately following the Equilibrium Strike. Expression just working him down with that true damage.
What the hell
Chaser,
is he doing?
Yeah, there was no jungler. His mid laner wasn't there. Crown now trying to stop this. This may be folly from the likes of Samsung. Pure has come up into the mid lane, walled off, and actually purely bursted down, forced the ultimate to be used. Gotta be careful against that poke, and he goes way too deep. Crown with the Hemo Plague, though, is going to get egged in this scenario. Oh, survives with the help of the Karma Shield. So low on HP, but the Rift Herald was taken down in that engagement, so Expression, it's like he was the one who picked that up, most likely.
That's the sort of walk-up you could do against a Maokai, but against an Aurelia with the item lead, it was just insanity from Cuvée. The arrow was coming, the allies were coming, but the timing just seemed to be woefully off between Cuvée and the rest of his team.
Well, he knew he was going to get stunned because the Aurelia had a little bit of damage too, which led stun straight into the actual Cocoon. It actually looks like it's Heat-10 style and Equilibrium Strike both on 3 points right now.
Interesting.
For Expression. So
I wish we could have seen the early laning phase to see when he pivots between the skills, because it can always be interesting. I mean, Aurelia famously, if you listen to Wicked and in general, has always been that champion where each point in ability really changes the strength of her laning phase. Nice to see her back in the meta.
this time it's going for a very balanced approach.
Right, at least the 3-3.
But working out, and Longzhu, as many faults as their compositions have, they've been given a bit of a freebie here from Samsung early. It's only 1,500 gold lead. They need to keep on pushing this if they want to conclusively take out this game. But if this Aurelia starts to go off and Samsung loses their ability to win the 4-1 split, that's where Longzhu gets powerful, and they are going to dive. And again, just chaining the crowd control. Cuvée trying to pick it up. Expression not going to die to the turret damage, but they respond by taking the Mountain Drake. Mountain Drake number 2 coming up at about 22 minutes and 10 seconds, but they traded for a turret. Expression doesn't actually get the finisher. That goes to Chaser, but the turret, a huge edge.
Expression's just so damn smart. He waited for Trundle to do that first bit of damage, got the stun, of course. Chains into the Cocoon, and everything from there is very obvious, but the mind of an experienced Aurelia player is on full display. And it's got them a pretty significant snowball. 20 CS and now a turret. And he gets Trinity Plus. He's going to have such movement speed and kill pressure that, once again, sending someone to answer the Aurelia is not going to be trivial, whatever the itemization is. And as you can see, it's going to be Titanic Hydra first from Cuvée.
Yeah. Big pickup. Cuvée thinks he can play this matchup just fine from behind.
Triforce and the dagger. Things begin.
They are beginning.
I wonder where the dagger's going.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Wit's End, an edge case was buffed on this patch, but still unlikely. It's just, think of attack speed items.
Yeah.
Didn't build any other attack speed items in Game 1. It was full defense from here.
No, but I think he knows he needs to win the 4-1 split if they're going to win this game. They have to win that, basically, or pray Samsung makes some sort of team fighting mistake in a 5v5, which seems unlikely. So, if he's going to go for attack speed and just single out the Trundle...
Blade of the Ruin King, I guess, is the possibility.
I would tend to lean towards that, just because Wit's End against the Trundle is not very useful.
He does have a Elise and Vladimir on his lineup, so shredding magic resist would be relevant, but I think you have to give the benefit of the doubt to play the Ruin King and be happily surprised if it is the newly buffed Wits End as Chaser.
Yep, pops up into the sky. Expression rolls through. There's Coco. Hemo Blade down, and there's the engage. Expression still alive. Chaser just standing, attacked by red buff right now. Can't do much at all. He took a ton of damage from the Brambleback. Expression flashes back over the wall. Pure here with the heal. Bubble not going to hit anybody. Crown still trying to kite this out. Here comes Fury, and there goes Crown, falling as the AD carry arrives. They get 2, and they're corralling more underneath the turret. Ash still on the bottom side, so this is a 2v5 on the dive. Cube, the next to fall. Ambition trying to run, but single down. And Expression comes out of that. Man, what a great play there. Fury just joining the rest of his team, and they're still going to push for a tier 2.
What a commitment. This fight starts with Siva in the bottom lane and walks the whole length of the map. We thought this was going to be explosions, but it's a full tank Vladimir, so the damage is certainly not massive. And I thought Expression is over-pursuing here. Of course, Crown is to re-come from the egg, no longer be Anivia, be the Anivia again. But he flashes over, gets the heal, re-engages. Siva joins as well. Fury's aggression on his re-entry of the team was on full display in their victory against ESC Ever, and it's on full display again here. And now they just continue the dive, and it's just so well coordinated. This is not a Longzhu we have ever seen.
Coco played that dive super well, too. Just leashing the turret on the outside, trying to heal up with his Q, and then de-aggroing as Aurelia was leaving there with his pool. And Expression just following on through, and man, Fury was just quick to get up into the topside jungle.
His aggression is just unbelievable to watch, and think about what he got out of it. He's now 4-1. Arrow goes wide. It's a 2v1.
Wow, okay, so the stun comes in. He actually used that subjugate early
to give a stun over.
Yeah, to give a stun over. Now Expression tries to get onto Ruler. Doesn't kill him, thanks to the heal, but Ruler had to use both summoners to escape, and Longzhu can't make a play.
Fury did use his heal as well, but the turnaround, you saw that damage from the Aurelia. Still no clearer onto what the item is that will be built out of this recurve. Both, I believe, Wits End and the Blade of the Ruin King both build out of it.
Yeah. Longzhu trying to take away this blue buff. Chaser steals it away. Big takeaway from the Anivia. We have 1 minute and 30 seconds to work with before Mountain Drake number 2 hits the rift.
Aurelia respawns, Home Guard, Trinity Force, Boots 2, very quick, so will be able to answer wherever on the map she's needed. Doesn't have teleport, but neither does Cuvée. I mean, just the investment from Fury to be able to conceptualize the fight and understand is Crown. Wow.
Whoa. And he stopped up right at the very end.
Get out there.
And yes, he does need to get out, and he will. Drops down inside the Glacial Storm, but of course with Crown that low, dangerous to try and stick around longer than he has to. Does recall, and Chaser got some time right now. Of course, Chaser with a 3-0-3 on this Elise has managed to accrue quite a princely sum and get a Rylai's pretty early.
But you have to smile that he's gone straight for the Rylai's. Oh, another 1v2 in action.
Expression gonna try and dodge out with the Blade Surge. Will be stopped up by the pillar. Transcendent Blades doing what they can. Gets back to the minion wave.
Well, there's an Aurelia player.
Yep. Classic Aurelia. Fun to see again.
But the Rylai's is so smart. It makes me smile because we talked about the fact that Longzhu need to end it early, need to snowball their advantage, ensure that they're split pusher in Aurelia, and just everything happens early before scaling from items like Rod of Ages completed. Get the Rylai's, pile on the power, almost solo kill Crown, who's been farming away. Nice to see from Chaser, and Longzhu once again. They just have it together in every facet.
Another Mountain Drake. Absolutely huge for them.
Only their first, answering Samsung.
Oh, that's right. You're absolutely right. So, still important, especially if Expression can win the split push battle.
It's going to be Blade of the Ruin King with the Vampiric Scepter in inventory.
It would be quite odd if it was the Wits End.
It'd be so cool, though.
Would it be, Papa Smithy?
Warwick and Aurelia.
All right, so let Chaser carry. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Aurelia is just a attack speed debuff machine.
Exactly.
Great.
It's just fun to see Expression mix with the builds, because remember, it was Triforce full tank in game 1. That's what he thought he needed. With the snowball here, he feels confident enough to be going for that blade, and with how strong he is, you blade surge onto this Ashe, and even if you're not able to stun her, blade active and the slow, there's plenty of damage, and from there, Ashe dies very, very quickly.
Really pushing this far into top lane, even though the turret has already been destroyed at tier 2. Holding their position while they look for this red buff, hoping to force another fight here, perhaps. They do have TP advantage, Longzhu.
They have good Baron damage as well, so...
Yeah, Wraith really didn't want to go for that one. Flashes out immediately.
Wraith, now that he's been taken off his comfort zone of Nami and Braum, has looked a little bit more questionable in this series, and I mentioned the Baron damage. They're going for it, but well spotted out by Brawler.
Got to use that hawk shot there. And, well, Flash Cocoon just misses from Chaser. Ambition has the shield onto him, and with the wall stopping up everybody but Chaser, it's not going to work. They did get both summoners from Crown. A minor win. Expression still trying to go even with Cube right there. Cube did have to pop his Subjugate in that duel. Attempted to re-engage here. And Hemoplate goes down, but there's no follow-up damage. Gogo gets a nice regen, tops himself off.
Zoning Hemoplate.
That's right.
Interesting to see Longzhu still trumpeting around this red side of Samsung. You mentioned it before, no inner turret to really target down, no way to get a push onto the inhibitor. It's understandable when you want to take Baron, but you've tried that once. And for now, I just want to engineer a way to take this outer mid lane turret, because once again, Samsung's been sticking those outer mid lane turrets long time.
Ambition just on the edge of that cocoon range, knowing his limits very well. Longzhu just repeatedly attempts here to try and Death Brush. They do have some very good pink wards around the Baron, and there's no information available right now for Samsung. But doing this at Baron really requires that mid lane turret to be down. Otherwise, this keeps happening.
We've seen this before. Standstills.
Ambition is just daring them to do this Baron. And yes, they are going to take out that pink ward.
Ambition's also equal level to Chasers.
Oh,
this
wow.
tidal wave.
And there's a knockup actually coming through on the bubble. Great bubble. Crown eliminated. Coco uses his flash to get in and under with the pool, so they instead make a pick with the use of the tidal wave as Samsung tries to clear out that pink ward, and this will surely be a Baron for Longzhu unless Ambition can have a magnificent steal.
He might get a 50-50. Doesn't have vision, though. They're holding off on it. Gets the vision now. It's still at 1,500. Well done. Well thought out by Longzhu, and what a hero play. The ultimate into the flash double bubble from Pure. I think this guy really has it on. I've been really impressed with Pure on Longzhu, because in a team where everyone has had their chances to struggle, Pure has probably been their most consistent player over the course of the year.
Yeah, we have to talk about his Bard too, which has been pretty solid. And his Braum, also a champion that he has typically excelled on, so that was a hell of a job getting a pick, though, from Pure. You're absolutely right. That's like, you could make that play, and Pure probably should be the MVP of this game already.
Insane. Just insane that he pulled it off, because remember, when you use the ultimate, you do get a little bit of extra movement speed. They were like, oh, damn, a tidal wave, that's a problem. And then the flash double bubble onto both Crown and Ambition. Oh, boy.
Gross. Well, big play sets up a big Baron for Longzhu, as they may have just snowballed this early game into some massive success.
Well, look at Furies. I got 3 items. I got a red pot. Let's do this, guys. I'm ready to go. That basically says it's all in turret dive time. The only reason you would go for that earlier red pot, keep it in the inventory, is to make a play in the next few minutes with Baron buff. Certainly is the window for that, as the gold lead is extended to over 9,000 for Longzhu.
Yeah. Rough times.
But now you look at the schedule and you really have to start re-evaluating. If they take out this game, suddenly every Longzhu game, whether it's against a team that they should beat down the bottom or a top team, suddenly looks damn interesting.
Well, maybe they'll just Jin-Air it, lose to the bad teams, take wins from the good teams.
The Robin Hood approach.
Yes, they were called the Robin Hood team here in Korea, because they They took from the rich and gave to the poor.
That'd be great. But I mean, Afrika, they had the rise. It was much later in the season than Longzhu did. So then Longzhu has started, but Elise.
Just waiting for the wall, you know, whatever.
GA actually already onto Chaser. This is the ultimate Let's Turret dive. GA Elise.
Oh my god, Cube is just getting slaughtered by Expression. Only the turret is going to turn him back in conjunction with the ult from Trundle.
Expression doesn't have teleports. If he backs, he will have to walk all the way back. Won't have enough lifesteal, even with Blade and W, probably to heal to full anytime soon. He's spotted on a ward as well.
Yeah, just heading back into lane. Clears it out with the help of Baron. And they look like they've decided it's time to go for the third Mountain Drake.
And now Aurelia will be better at taking turrets in front of a Trundle.
And taking Barons. Nice. Nice. Cloud Drake. The one that no one will care about.
Yep.
Will be the final one. Unfortunately, we did see Longzhu take it mere seconds before 29 minutes, so we are saddled with Cloud Drake in this game. Bad times.
The only Drake outside of Mountain. What a spoiler. But that's the thing. We talk about SKT a lot. They draft well, they build to their draft, they look at the enemy's weaknesses, and when they're weak in the game, they try to take it. Oh, speaking of weakness.
Yeah, Crown getting chunked down already, and he has to flash. Emo Plague's on him. Coco is not done. And there he is. Dies underneath the turret. No egg passive for him. Able to be popped, so Coco zooms on through with the help of his two summoners, and this Anivia is just not doing anything.
The immobility is really being exploited, even with Ghost Flash to answer, and Coco's still looking to poke under turrets. Chaser as well.
Yeah, there, just keep on going. There's a tidal wave. Ambition, now the next target. Coco is not done here. Zhonya's Hourglass use. He may be in a bit over his head, and he will drown there.
Longzhu's dreams of ending the game, suddenly.
Well, Cube, focused down by the likes of Fury and Expression, gets too far in front of his team.
My kingdom for a minion wave, says Longzhu.
Yeah, still 2 for 1, still an inhibitor. Hard to argue with that performance. That kill onto Crown was mighty impressive, but it was a long shot for them to win the game there with the Baron buff expiring.
But Coco getting that kill to start things off before he over-pursued. The Flash Ghost ult. After the ult to get the Q. Knew his damage output even with this fairly low damage VAD build, although now with Rylai's and the Zonias, it's starting to pile up. Again, we talk about SKT and just knowing their limits, knowing what to do. Longzhu have played to their win conditions of early domination, snowballing the Aurelia, buying items to allow them to finish the game early. Red Pot from Sivir, the Guardian Angel into just pure health for Chaser. They've done exactly what they needed to do, and they're one more team fight away from ending the series.
It would be a huge statement. I mean, Longzhu, this team that came in with so much hype, spending so much money to assemble a truly astounding array of talented players, 10 of them last season, taking some #1 players in solo queue like Fury and Crash, and they just have been so pathetic, honestly, considering how much talent and how much money they spent. But now, if this is actually real, because if we talk about challengers for SK Telecom, you need a certain level of just talent. As Coco dodges out of that arrow, no real attempt or ability to follow up. But if we just talk about talent, you need a team like Rox. You need a team like Longzhu to even match the SKT players head-to-head. And if Longzhu can get it together in teamwork, they may be a real threat.
Let's wait till they close out this game to really pile on the superlatives. It's been excellent 32 minutes. They definitely look like they're one fight away from ending it, but so far, Samsung have held true. When they do go for these turret dives, they will be really opting into Crown, who may have his passive up by then, but definitely be able to kite back and get big value out of the wall. So the game doesn't end for now, but objectives like Baron and Elder Drake, when that eventually spawns at, I guess, 42, 41 minutes into the game after this Cloud Drake, may finally cement the victory for Longzhu.
Yeah, Baron up in 30 seconds too. And Coco, especially
Mountain
doing
Drakes.
enough work. Yeah, like you say, the Mountain Drakes make short work of that inhibitor
Cube.
turret. And there's a big Hemo play. Cube in the front line yet again. He will be the first to fall in this fight. Coco with the finishing blow. That's going to be the second inhibitor in favor of Longzhu Gaming as they make their exit out of the base right as the Baron spawns.
The one prediction I feel good about that's kind of coming true to me was I wondered about Cube, I wondered about 611 and the meta shift, and I think this series cements to me that the warning signs certainly seem to be ringing true. And Samsung was so well suited to 6.10, the post-MSI meta in general, but 611 and that change of focus to top lane plays into the wheelhouse of Expression and Longzhu, and Cube doesn't seem to be on the same page just yet.
Yeah, Wraith now firing his Qs into the Baron pit, hoping to get this one down, but Ambition just isn't there. Baron dropping low, 2,700 HP. They have to deal with Ambition on the side. There's going to be a flash
Chase is
over
going to die to Baron.
from Coco, and are they going to get something? Ruler trying to retreat away from Expression. Chaser does not die to Baron, does get his GA popped, however, and Crown now the next focus. Arrow's going to land onto Pure. Cube TP's back in, but can he do anything? Finishes off one member. Pool underneath Cube. They're trying to kite for
the
Fury.
bubble.
Beautiful bubble. Coco survives. And a bit of a dicey Baron there for Longzhu, but they come out on top.
Pure was one of the early frontrunners for the best Bard in the league. Was probably eclipsed in that, but man, his Nami's looking pretty damn outstanding as well. This was a big problem for Longzhu. Chaser had to tank it up the Baron because everyone else peeled away, so they're in a really awkward spot. He does still go in, but has the Guardian Angels, why he could make the aggressive play onto Crown. They all in on finishing Crown, which is definitely the right choice. And Cube, so many different tempting targets to turn onto, but Pure has the ultimate answer, the heal into the beautiful Aqua Prison. Ends the hopes for Cube. Comes pretty close to ending the hopes for Samsung.
Yeah. Well, they survive another day. They do get their mid lane inhibitor up again, but Cube is dead. Cube also has no TP, so Longzhu has a nice little timing here. Expression found out, trying to camp that brush with a pink ward.
40% CDR with just 2 items now in this new post-Trinity Force rework world, Frozen Heart and the Trinity Force. They turn onto Baron.
Expression not even there, but it's not going to matter. No chance, as Cube still on his way out of the base. So Baron taken once again by Longzhu, and they start their push up, trying to get that middle inhibitor down once again.
Elation on the faces of the Longzhu members. It's just a few minutes away. I think this is the push they intend to end the game on. Items just stacked up on so many members. 14,000 gold lead. Longzhu Gaming have finally, it seems, taken the next step.
Expression low, is nailed by the arrow, had a blade surge into the enchanted crystal arrow, have to run around the side of the wall right now, the help of that Sivir ultimate, but they turn again onto the last inhibitor turret. Fury stopped up in that glacial storm temporarily, but they're still working that inhibitor down. That's going to be the inhibitor falling. They now have all 3 dead. Nexus turret has to be saved with a pillar from the super minions. Can they finish the game right now?
Bottom lane minion wave still far away. Top lane as well. It's only 1 minion wave, and it's just starting to come for Longzhu.
Yeah, may not be worth pushing too hard for Longzhu right now, but Coco does use the Ghost, trying to get in. Cube focused immediately. Ruler has to fall back. Coco still on the flank right there, harassing the AD carry and support. Tides of Blood onto Ambition. Expression trying to get the kill. Can't quite make it work. Coco not going to get hit by the stun from Anivia, but they're just working down these turrets, and that is going to be the end of this game. Longzhu Gaming rolls to their 4th consecutive game win, their 2nd consecutive best-of-3 win, and a big upset over Samsung.
And this is the sort of sideways turn that makes the LCK summer that much more interesting. Longzhu will not be a laughingstock. Longzhu will not be a punching bag. Longzhu Games, suddenly, they have to look like a real threat against anyone they face because they've taken down Samsung, and they look damn good doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Still, I think the draft was a bit rough in game number 2, but in spite of that, they overcame that obstacle. They found ways to deal with the Anivia. They got around the side of those walls with the help of the Sivir, and honestly, Coco just playing balls to the wall on that Vladimir, not being afraid to just dump those summoner
spells. It wasn't just
spells.
Coco though, Monty. Fury walking from bot lane, Sivir ulting to get there for a fight. Pure going for an initiation on Nami, the quintessential disengaged champion next to Janna, and Chaser just going off, building ability power, almost soloing out a crown on the Anivia, then just building a Guardian Angel, Giant Spelt, and saying, I'll help you turret dive. We're going to end it now. And they did.
Yeah. Great job. Well, impressive stuff from Longzhu tonight. And we kind of saw this whole range of Longzhu's improvements. We talked about it. Coming into tonight, it's not that they were doing bad in the early game. They were number 4 at 15 minutes in terms of gold differential. They were positive. So why was this team falling flat? A lot of the late game shot calling. Well, game 1 showed they can hang in there with one of the best shot calling teams and the best coordinated teams in the league. Game number 2 showed that they can press an advantage really, really well.
And they reintegrate Fury and look good doing it. One of the problems I think this team had, and they spoke about it in interviews, too many cooks, likes of Fury, Coco, Chaser, all aces of their teams put together in this super team. All of them had done shot calling, even Fury from the AD carry role for Samsung pre-ambition coming into the lineup. So there was always going to be that friction. You know, who's the right shot caller? When you start losing, you lose trust in your teammates. It feels like the trust is there. The team is on the same page in a similar fashion, scarily, to a team like SKT. And although it's a long time before we can talk about them in quite the same breadth, at least we can make the illusion and not be doing it facetiously.
Yeah, and I think that's the big question here, because SKT, they have such excellent players pretty much across the board that when we talk about a team like Jin Air, the question is, does Jin Air actually have the individual talent ceiling to truly be able to defeat SK Telecom in a best of 5?
Your first instinct has to be no.
Yeah, exactly. And you could ask the same question, I think, about Samsung. Certainly Crown is getting up there to be a top-tier mid, and Ruler's been impressive for a rookie. But I think when you take a step back and you say, in terms of talent, who are the top 3 teams in this league? Who have we seen the highest individual ceilings from? It has to be SKT, the Rocks Tigers, and Longzhu Gaming. Just from a historical perspective. So Longzhu turning this around could be very important.
MVP of this game will be Pure. Thank the gods. They give it to the right man. Pure won this game with his double bubble onto 2 carries of Samsung and just was outstanding on the Nami. A carry Nami performance is something you almost never talk about, but he was just amazing.
Yeah, and again, we finally got to see that replay where Wraith was a little bit too far up and alone. This time they catch out Crown Wall, not enough to keep him alive.
Are you ready for the game changer? Are you ready
for
the channeling the ult out of vision, then flashing over a wall? We didn't even notice that into a double bubble. Just insane stuff.
Yeah, beautiful play. Oh.
Again, Nami, so often the disengaged champion doesn't make plays to get something like MVP, but the plays were real this game.
Absolutely they were.
And this bubble also to keep alive the Vladimir right at the tail end of this play. Coco on a speck of health.
He does turn into a golden pool. Just my favorite thing about Zhonya's Vladimir.
Zhonya Zac also one of my favorites.
I don't know if you can actually beat the golden pool, Papa Smithy. But that'll be it. So Pure with a really, really well-deserved MVP in that game.
And it's almost seemed like Pure was at his level of performance. He was good on Najin, he was good on Longzhu. It's just everyone else at different times fell apart. Now everything's coming together, and Pure looks good, and his supporting cast is very impressive.
Especially, actually, when we look back at last season, he was he was probably the most lane-dominant top laner in the entire league, regularly.
Smith may be accepted.
Well, he regularly got these huge CS advantages or gold advantage just on his own, being left alone.
Sure.
So if he can take that strong laning phase and transition it into better team play, that's when things start to get really scary for the opponents of Longzhu, really. So, wow, I'm impressed. I mean, I thought taking out ESC Ever is one thing. Taking out Samsung, that's something else.
And I said it in the taxi, I wanted to see this be a competitive series. It was, and if you say it wasn't, it was Longzhu actually pushing forward.
Well, Samsung still had a very good game number 1.
Sure.
Absolutely coming back with some of that shot calling. Well, guys, I think that's going to be just about it for us tonight, as the phone interview not going to be translated for you this evening with the coaches, so we will leave you until tomorrow.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Hopefully leave you, because you never know with
you
these outros.
You never know with these outros. Well, we're going to leave you until tomorrow, where we'll be myself and Achilleos coming back to cast tomorrow evening. So until then, thanks a lot for watching LCK on OGN, and hopefully when I wave my hands...
Yeah, let's do a double wave.
That's right. Goodbye, everybody.
Maybe.
Thanks for watching.
Maybe.